You just referenced it. What was the Lindbergh's 1941 Des Moines, Iowa speech and the reaction to it?
He gave a speech in Des Moines, one of his last. He was sort of the face of America first. This was September of 41, so we're getting really close to Pearl Harbor at this point. And a lot of Americans have begun to see the writing on the wall that after Lend-Lease, they saw the writing on the wall. And many Americans who had been isolationists had changed their tune and felt that it was time, that Hitler was a problem, it was going to have to be dealt with. Charles Lindbergh, to the bitter end, did not believe that. And so was still pounding away at the pavement about staying out of the war as late as September of 41. And he's really angry by September of 41, and he can see it's coming, right? He sees the writing on the wall as well. And so he goes to Des Moines and he gives a speech where he basically calls Jewish Americans others, that it's them who is pushing the war. And it's them because even though they live within the boundaries of the United States, they're like a group separate, that they have no affiliation with the United States. They're sort of an other group. He actually calls them other, and with it, that live in the United States. And so they are pushing this war for their own purposes. He even, I don't even want to say insinuates, because it's right there on the surface of the speech. He even says that if the American Jews actually get this war, that they'll be sorry, because they'll be the first one. There'll be all these outbreaks of anti-Semitism in the country, and that they'll be in real problems like their European counterparts, which I find shocking just thinking about it now. He basically said they were dangerous. And here's what I think is wonderful about the Des Moines speech is the response. All across the country, Americans actually stood up and said that is too far. The Texas legislature, I laugh because I'm not sure Texas would do this now. The Texas legislature actually voted. He was no longer welcome in the Lone Star State. He could not come to Texas. The US Congress, said this was about as Nazi talk as you could get. Wendell Willkie, who was the 1940 Republican candidate for president, said it was the most un-American talk he had ever heard. Newspapers called him Lindbergh, the most dangerous man in America. Because of this speech. Lindbergh didn't quite get it. He was so surprised and stunned by this reaction. I think his comment was something like, you can talk about anything but the Jewish problem in this country. And he actually puts that in his journal. So when he edited that journal, he didn't find that surprising talk. He thought that was perfectly okay. And so his reputation really was in tatters, which was why he wasn't he wasn't allowed into the armed services at all, because they felt that he was a traitor, and he was not, was he referred to as being blackballed, but none of those people that he worked with in aviation wanted to have any part of him, and I kind of love that. so yeah. So that's what happened.